Our country says, "Oh Uganda, may God uphold our motto, our national anthem rather." So it's a place for us to go down on our knees and pray for Uganda. It's the best weapon that we have there is, if you ask me. But more of the stories that came through this week, and still on a rather sad note, Karamoja is facing quite a bit, not just a bit, but a situation there. A press statement was released from the experience conditions to crop failure and shortages. Sadly, it has been reported that 16 people have died from causes associated with food shortages in the sub-region. The government extends its deepest sympathies to the bereaved families and the affected communities. And on the 8th of July 2026, the government delivered 22 tons of emergency relief food, comprising 13 tons of maize flour and 9 tons of beans to Loduku and Loyuru sub-counties in Kabong district. Now, the office of the Prime Minister has also arranged for another consignment of relief food for immediate distribution to the most affected districts requiring urgent assistance, namely Kabong, Kotido, Amudat, Napak, and Moroto. And for the wider Karamoja sub-region, neighboring districts, the office of the Prime Minister will, on Monday, 13th July, seek cabinet approval for the procurement of additional emergency food relief. Things are not good on the side of Karamoja, as 16 people have so far on record lost their lives due to the dry season causing food shortage. It is not good news at all. But in more good news, especially for those who love their music and their old school music, Welsh icon, one of the kind musicians of a lifetime tribute has been paid to singer Bonnie Tyler, who passed away unexpectedly at the age of 75. If you do follow Good Morning Uganda, especially on Thursdays, you do watch a couple of throwback music that is played, and some of her songs are actually played here on UBC TV. So she did pass away unexpectedly. As it is, she had shows lined up and looking forward to performing, had had a couple of surgeries there on, but did pass away in Portugal, leaving a big gap on the music scene, especially when it comes to old school music and on the rock and roll scene. Now, I'm not alone. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. We come to you live from the Nile Avenue, and you are watching UBC TV. I am with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Robert, the week has ended. Thank God it's a Friday. What story has stood out for you? You're excited, no waking up tomorrow at 3:30. Yes, thank God. Yeah. You know, somebody was asking me what type of weekend I usually have. Given a Thursday, do I have my weekends planned out, or do things happen spontaneously and that adventure happens and you just go have fun? I sat down and thought about the fact that what a thing growing up is called. Because as a younger person, even if you told me that, hey, and I had no plans, and you told me that, Sato, there's this plot, man, I'd be available for the plot. But right now, with the kind of schedule I run on a daily, I have to first plan my weekend. For as long as you have something that you want me to attend, I literally have to plan for it in advance, because if there's nothing, I'm excited to be at home and resting. I love being home as well, but one thing that always makes me laugh at myself is when I was in school, you know, waking up those morning preps. I was like, well, let me study hard. A time will come when I don't have to wake up early. But unfortunately, now I wake up more earlier than I used to. Then I have to hit the road as well, then make it on time. So life was training you for now. Yeah, life is funny. No, let's read now. You know, after this, after that, after campus, and I think it's only at campus when I had that rest. But I thank God, because there are still very many Ugandans that wake up to nothing to do. Yes, indeed. Have you ever thought of that? I always do. Many that wake up and they don't have a program of the day. I always do. But you're programmed every minute of your time. From here, you're going to radio. From radio, you're going to the farm. From the farm, you're going to this. From this, then from this, you're going to lecture. From this, you know. So your day is entirely full. Working is a blessing. Yeah, and we glorify God. Now, stories that have made headlines for me during the week. First is life. That is the Gulu Kampala highway accident where 15 succumbed
to death and about 28 announcing serious injuries. This speaks so much. We are getting tired of always reporting bus accidents. Bus accidents, you know. We don't know why these drivers overspeed, and we can't tell why these very drivers overtake without clear vision, because most of the accidents are a result of overspeeding, overtaking, mostly in corners with lack of clear visibility. Then another, of course, this was joy for the people of Butambala, as Honorable Muwanga Kivumbi got bail and 22 others yesterday. It was a very interesting scene. You would see them chant, sing, and of course, one thing that the opposition does very well is also to glorify the judge or the magistrate that has presided over such cases. I saw the NUP Secretary General Lewis Lubongoya saying others should emulate this one. Now, there are times when they castigate and almost curse, but when things go their way, that's why I noticed that another job that is very hard is being a judge or magistrate. Now, also away from that, Honorable Namara Dennis Buyaga, West Constituency, his administration of Parliament, where they seek that he was granted leave because he's coming up with that bill that we can't wait to see, where the leader of opposition, if it sees the light of day, will be elected, and there's a criteria where he can leave his seat among other reforms. We don't know what he will put there, but at least two things are very clear. That the leader of opposition must be elected by opposition members, but also the definition of who is an opposition MP. Who's an opposition MP? But also the other clause that he can be removed from office. Now we are waiting for that. Then there's also this case of malaria. There was a girl from Gayaza High School, that is Murungi Sunshine. She succumbed to malaria, and I think it's causing an alert. That guess what? Which kind of malaria is this? That of course all schools are schools. Yeah. But allow me and permit me to say that you have what we call Class A, those traditional, established schools. If a child gets sick in those schools, they take action, they take time. Then the child goes to some of the best hospitals in Uganda. IHK, there's this one where she first went. You know, I've been trying to follow the story. And you see that you can't blame. I was listening to her auntie, is it auntie or something, speaking. You look for where to hold blame, and surely there is nothing. All was done, but she succumbed to malaria. And finally, my iron lady, Honorable Justin Namere. That on a lighter note, yes. She did give us a stand in Parliament where I can sit down without you holding my waist.
Without you holding my waist.
No one has the right to tell me to keep quiet in this Parliament. Well, she always be giving us something, light or strong, not forgetting how she's handling her office, local government. I'm seeing biting beginning. I saw, I think it was a cow.
Still local government, in line with biting. Yesterday a clip on social media was also making rounds as Honorable Balambar Gahara was in Mbale, sent the headmaster of a particular school where he was at to jail after he found out that the headmaster declared that he had 184 students in that, is it a particular classroom? But Honorable went to count them himself and there were 105.
No, 124.
The headmaster handed in 184.
184? No, there's no way the rest were absent that particular day.
So Honorable counted them.
There's even a cow who was suspended, I think even handed over to police. If not Ginger, then it could be massacre. But I saw these two, Stockholm Pier, yes. I don't know why. They are very patriotic. Yes. Two, for us in the Patriotic League, you see when the chairman directs, it is a must-do. And the chairman...
I hope as a journalist, your views always remain objective.
No, but I think people are just mistaken. Yeah. Patriotic League is not a political party. It's just a pressure group, and associating freedom of association to a pressure group is not a crime. non-parties are know what the
No.
Speaker of Parliament is a member of Patriotic
It
League.
wouldn't, but do you remember before Loop became a party, it had the pressure group called People Power?
And many of them, when it became a party, left. Because
Yes.
for them, they were for a pressure
But
group.
would remember the mood, the environment it created, and the friction there was, given the opinions.
These people who don't want to understand these things properly or take time to read, but those who read the ideology,
right.
the reasons, and why. This is a group that wants to see things move, wants to see that change deserved, but doesn't associate with violence. Simple as
On
that.
another sad note, as we end a couple of updates, an 18-year-old student at Nalia SS Boyogere also committed suicide. It's a story that, yes, and a very hard one, a very heartbreaking.
18 years. What could make a boy of 18?
S4 student.
S4 student.
And indeed,
Maybe we can research of his performance. You know, they have just gone for mocks sometimes, the performance and the expectations of the parents. But all said and done, it also goes back to parenting. I'm not blaming the parents, but Julie, there is something I noticed, that parents must be friends to our children. We must speak to our children. Yesterday I was talking to a father whose child is in senior 6. She became pregnant, you know, by some rumpin. Very funny rumpin. But when I wanted to take the case on, I asked, but what age did your child? How old is your daughter? I believe she's 17 or 16. But when she was filling the forms at school, she put 18 years. But may I believe... I told him,
18. If she's 18,
I just told him, please, go to something else. I can't be of help.
Anyways, what do we have on the local scene this morning?
We begin with Uganda's newest soldiers who have been urged to uphold the discipline, patriotism and professionalism in protecting the nation. The call comes as President Yoweri Museveni passed out over 10,000 UPDF recruits from 5 military training schools. The President and the Chief of Defense Forces also emphasized health, service delivery and responsible leadership ahead of the LC1 elections. The skies were lit, the ground was ready, and the soldiers were smart. Armed with physical, mental and intellectual capacity, they displayed what was expected of them: resilience, endurance and readiness for service. This is what both the President and the Chief of Defense Forces were there to witness. As they marched in both slow and quick march, it was obvious they were ready for service. With such readiness, Uganda's security and that of its neighbors will continue to be upheld as lauded by the Chief of Defense Forces. Such passion for service is what enabled the country to go through the recently conducted elections, to which the CDF congratulates the President. Continued extension of such services will require good health, something which the President agreed with. President Yoweri Museveni reiterated his message against laxity in service delivery and health and wealth creation quest. The President also seized the occasion to rally Ugandans behind voting leaders of integrity in the upcoming village local council elections. Over 10,000 soldiers have been passed out from 5 different military training schools. Over 700 returnees from South Africa are undergoing rehabilitation, counseling and reintegration into Uganda's social, economic and political environment at the National Leadership Institute in Kyangwanzi. Before they were united with their families, the government has commenced the registration and issuance of national identity cards to Ugandans recently repatriated from South Africa as part of the comprehensive program to facilitate their reintegration into society following their return from xenophobic violence. The Commissioner of the National Secretariat for Patriotism, Ms. Helen Seku, said bringing NIRA services directly to the rehabilitation center was a deliberate intervention to ensure that none of the returnees is excluded from accessing government services. She revealed that several government agencies, including the Uganda Registration Services Bureau Mobile telecommunications companies and financial institutions have offered services at the Nali to simplify the returnees' transition back into normal life. According to Seku, the objective is to ensure that the returnees leave Changkwanzi equipped with knowledge, skills, and information that will enable them earn sustainable livelihoods instead of seeking opportunities abroad under difficult circumstances. She noted that many of the returnees arrived at the institute emotionally distressed after losing businesses, employment, and property during the attacks in South Africa. Seku disclosed that some of the returnees had spent between 20 to 45 years in South Africa, while more than 216 children accompanying them were born there and had little knowledge of Uganda. The Equal Opportunities Commission has referred to the High Court Civil Division a case in which 28 former Kyambogo University students accused the institution of awarding them a qualification that differ from the course they were admitted to study. They fought the university for following and going mute on the matter, since letters going unanswered, insisting the university enrolled them under an accredited course knowingly. The graduates, led by Aruna Mwanguzi, said they were admitted in 2017 on government sponsorship to pursue a diploma in. However, upon graduation, they were issued transcripts indicating only sports management, which they say does not match their admission records. They contended that despite writing to the university at least 6 times seeking correction of the alleged error, no action has been taken. The graduates further claim that efforts to seek intervention from the National Council for Higher Education have yielded no solution. They say the mismatch has cost them employment opportunities over the past 7 years, with several employers reportedly rejecting their applications. Following a petition to the Equal Opportunities Commission, Senior Legal Counsel Samuel Mabdaba confirmed that the matter has now been referred to the High Court Civil Division, where the former students are seeking damages. Kyambogo University Vice Chancellor Professor Erika Tunguka acknowledged the discrepancy, but maintains that the university informed the affected students about the course changes during their studies, a claim the students strongly deny. The former students also allege the university admitted another cohort in 2018 under the same uncredited program, accusing the institution of using the course to assess government funding. Very unfortunate then. Following the arrest of former Butambala County Member of Parliament Muwanga Kivumbi Norman and 22 other co-accused on terrorism charges, the accused applied for bail before Justice Susan Okalanyi at the International Crimes Division of High Court in Kampala. The prosecution opposed the application, arguing that the accused were likely to interfere with the ongoing investigations, that the charges against them were grave, and that their release would pose a threat to public safety. After considering submissions from both parties, Justice cash bail of 10 million, while his co-accused were each granted cash bail of 10 million. In her ruling, Justice Okalanyi held that the successful applicants had presented substantial sureties and had satisfied the court that they would neither interfere with investigations nor endanger the public if released on bail. The court also imposed strict bail conditions, including a requirement that the accused must not leave the country without prior permission of the court. The 6 accused persons who were, however, denied bail, and these included Kayanja Calvin, Sewanyana Brian, Mwanguzi Brian, Akakwasa Ivan, Kiwanuka Ramadhan, and Owori Brian. Since they failed to present substantial sureties, they were directed to return to court on the 13th of July this very year. After securing substantial sureties, the prosecution alleges that Muwanga Kivumbi Norman, together with 22 co-accused and others still at large, committed acts of terrorism between 11th and 17th July in various parts of Uganda, including Kibibi Town Council and Gombe Town Council in Butambala district. It is alleged that the acts were intended to influence the government and intimidate the public for political or economic purposes. The alleged acts included attacks on Kibibi Police Station and the Butambala Electoral Commission Tally Center, destruction of sections of the Butambala-Gomba Road, damage to several motor vehicles, and incidents that resulted into death of Naggai Sara, Nabukenya Aisha, Nampereza Mili, Nakanjako Ruth, Suman Abdul, Nusur, Miro Shafiq, and Basaliza Davis. The accused remain on trial before the International Crimes Division of the High Court. And Julie, with that, let's end the local stories at that. Let's see what you have for us on the international scene.
Right, indeed. Thank you very much, Robert. On the international scene, a quick look at what we have. We are starting off, of course, with the U.S. and Iran. The U.S. and Iran again treaded strikes in exchanges that continued into Thursday, as observers reported a dramatic drop in the number of ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. says it hit 90. Iran says 14 people have been killed in the past 2 days. State media also reported the targets near the Bushehr nuclear power plant were hit, citing the deputy governor of the province. The U.S. has not commented on the latest strikes. Iran said it targeted U.S. assets in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar in response. Later on Thursday, Tehran launched more strikes on sites in Kuwait, Jordan, and Iraq, state-linked media reported. Separately, huge crowds gathered as Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was buried after 6 days of funeral events. Crowds massed on the streets of Mashhad in northeastern Iran, waving Iranian flags, while some were pictured holding signs carrying death threats directed at U.S. President Donald Trump. Khamenei was killed on 28 February during the first hours of the U.S. and Israeli strikes against Iran. All right, Andy Burnham has taken another step towards becoming the next Labour Party leader and Prime Minister after the vast majority of Labour MPs nominated him to replace Sir Keir Starmer. Burnham's Labour leadership bid has been backed by 322 Labour MPs as he remains the only declared candidate after nominations began on Thursday. It makes him just one short of the 323 needed before it is mathematically impossible for a rival to run against him. Some MPs said they were not able to vote on Thursday but will back Burnham once they are back in Parliament. If no one else enters the contest as expected, Burnham will be declared Labour leader next week before taking office as Prime Minister on 20th July. It would mark an extraordinary rise to power following the former Greater Manchester Mayor's by-election win in Makerfield just weeks ago. In a statement, Burnham said he was deeply grateful to the Labour MPs who had nominated him to be leader of the party. He said the support had come from across the party and reflected a shared belief that Britain needs a new approach to politics. That is the circuit breaker I'm offering. Power out of Westminster, an economy rewired for ordinary people, and good growth in every postcode, Burnham said. And finally, groups of anti-illegal immigrant protesters in South Africa went door to door on Thursday, pulling people from their homes and handing them to police. In the Johannesburg township of Alexandra, a Reuters reporter saw them break down doors and enter houses where they believed undocumented foreigners were hiding. Protesters wielding sticks and flags also marched through Soweto with plans to go search for illegal migrants. There were also protests in Durban. The action comes after months of often violent anti-immigrant demonstrations and an unofficial 30th June deadline by protesters for all undocumented foreigners to leave. Our mandate is clear. We need them to go. We don't need them here in South Africa because they are here illegally, said Musa Mabiko, a community leader in Alexandra. But he added that the anti-migrant protest march there had got out of hand and needed to stop immediately after chaotic scenes that included a crowd of men carrying sticks One local suggested the march seemed more like vandalism than a protest. South Africa hosts more than 3 million foreigners, just over 5% of its population, but unemployment exceeds 30%, fueling hunger toward migrant workers. Now it's a minute to 7 a.m. That brings us to the end of what we have as updates this morning. Looking forward to an interesting conversation and looking at the angle of faith versus science. 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number that you should say so that you are part of this conversation. And in your opinion, do DNA tests align with Christian values of truth and honesty? Be part of the conversation. Even on our X handle at UBC TV Uganda, the hashtag is UBCGMU. We'll be right back with Pastor Romushana to speak into this particular conversation.
I hope he doesn't talk about tithing.
Oh, well.
He leaves tithing because that is one of the areas that is very contentious.
As long as the Bible talks about it, it's the truth.
But you see also the Bible is another book. I believe in 100%, but it's sometimes also like law. That depending which scripture you know, in law, someone will play with the constitution. You can either win, so even the Bible, someone will pick a scripture, and you feel you're very right, then another person opens up and brings their interpretation. You're like, oh, I think I'm wrong. Then another one will justify that no, you know. So let's wait and see.
Read your
but
Bible,
money issues, please, Pastor Romushana.
Let's get into a short break.
Don't go there.
Live from UBC Studios in
Far from the course they were admitted to study, they fought the university for following and going mute on the matter, since letters going unanswered, insisting the university enrolled them under an accredited course knowingly. The graduates, led by Aruna Mwanguzi, said they were admitted in 2017 on government sponsorship to pursue a diploma in. However, upon graduation, they were issued transcripts indicating only sports management, which they say does not match their admission records. They contended that despite writing to the university at least 6 times seeking correction of the alleged error, no action has been taken. The graduates further claim that efforts to seek intervention from the National Council for Higher Education have yielded no solution. They say the mismatch has cost them employment opportunities over the past 7 years, with several employers reportedly rejecting their applications. Following a petition to the Equal Opportunities Commission, Senior Legal Counsel Samuel Mabdaba confirmed that the matter has now been referred to the High Court Civil Division, where the former students are seeking damages. Chambogo University Vice Chancellor Professor Erika Tunguka acknowledged the discrepancy, but maintains that the university informed the affected students about the course changes during their studies, a claim the students strongly deny. The former students also allege the university admitted another cohort in 2018 under the same uncredited program, accusing the institution of using the course to assess government funding. Very unfortunate then. Following the arrest of former Butambala County Member of Parliament Muwanga Chivumbi Norman and 22 other co-accused on terrorism charges, the accused applied for bail before Justice Susan Okalanyi at the International Crimes Division of High Court in Kampala. The prosecution opposed the application, arguing that the accused were likely to interfere with the ongoing investigations, that the charges against them were grave, and that their release would pose a threat to public safety. After considering submissions from both parties, Justice cash bail of 10 million, while his co-accused were each granted cash bail of 10 million. In her ruling, Justice Okalanyi held that the successful applicants had presented substantial sureties and had satisfied the court that they would neither interfere with investigations nor endanger the public if released on bail. The court also imposed strict bail conditions, including a requirement that the accused must not leave the country without prior permission of the court. The 6 accused persons, who were, however, denied bail, and these included Kayanja Calvin, Sewanyana Brian, Muwanguzi Brian, Akakwasa Ivan, Kiwanuka Ramadhan, and Owori Brian. Since they failed to present substantial sureties, they were directed to return to court on the 13th of July this very year. After securing substantial sureties, the prosecution alleges that Muwanga Chivumbi Norman, together with 22 co-accused and others still at large, committed acts of terrorism between 11th and 17th July in various parts of Uganda, including Kibibi Town Council and Gombe Town Council in Butambala district. It is alleged that the acts were intended to influence the government and intimidate the public for political or economic purposes. The alleged acts included attacks on Kibibi Police Station and the Butambala Electoral Commission Tally Center, destruction of sections of the Butambala-Gomba Road, damage to several motor vehicles, and incidents that resulted into death of Nagai Sara, Nabukenya Aisha, Nampereza Mili, Nakanja